What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Strung Out, and we're going back to the Twisted by Design album, 1998. And the next tune is Paperwalls. It sounds like walls that are not particularly strong, that do not provide the standard level of protection or sturdiness or durability. I wonder whether that could be, in some respect, a positive, the idea of these things which seem to confine us can be torn down and they can be bypassed, even if they initially seem prohibitive. But it could also be a very negative thing, the idea that, you know, what I thought was this place that I could make my own, what I thought was this place where I was protected from hostile outside forces, be they environmental or living, it's not as protective, it's not as cozy or safe as I thought it once was. So I do feel like it's the kind of metaphor, the kind of phrase that can be taken in very different directions. Ultimately, I don't remember it by name, and as we've discovered as I've gone through this album, outside of one or two moments where it's like, oh, I kind of remember that opening bit, I really don't remember most of the tunes on the album, as I talked about at the very beginning. With some albums from the 90s, I seem to have just keyed in on a few tracks and repeatedly played those tracks, but largely ignored the other quality on the album. So, as I said, it's nice to catch up on it now. And once again, big shout out to Paulie for making that possible. So let's find out what it actually is. And as I said, I'll try to catch what I can. But as I've been doing for the last several Strung Out reactions, we will look at the lyrics afterwards. So here we go. This is Strung Out, Paperwalls from their 1998 album, Twisted by Design. I like that melody. See if I'm right about what I just heard. I love this. bits and pieces, though I'm intrigued by that main line of seemingly the chorus, the idea of I've been talking to myself again about all the things I should have said, and it's, not only as someone who's, spends a lot of time up in the late evening, early morning, I'm very much a night owl. You spend a lot of time by yourself, and I'm also a writer, and I'm also an editor, and sometimes you have to say a line out loud to hear, does that flow, verbally as well as mentally. So I spend a lot of time talking, and there are times where I've like sort of hashed out a concept, and I'm talking, one side of a concept, one side, and then like later I'll be like, oh, I was having a conversation with, oh wait, was that me? Oh yeah, I was having a conversation with myself about this. But no, in this case, it's a different type of talking to yourself. It's the idea that, sometimes you're playing back experiences, moments in your life and, between you and another person, or just like at a critical juncture. And you feel like, man, if only I could go back and say this, like this is what I needed to say, but I didn't say it at the time. And so the irony of talking to yourself and saying things that you really should have said in the presence of others, but now you're saying them when the consequences, won't unfold in the same way. I think a sense of humanity to that. I imagine lots of people do that. I certainly have, played back situations in my head and like, man, if I just didn't say that, or if I just said this instead. And you wonder, like, would that lead to a very different skein of my life? Or at the very least, would that have led to a better place between me and this other person? So I think it's very human, and it makes me wonder what some of the other bits and bobs that I heard was. Because I heard, like, another word here, another word there, but not too many full lines. Holy crap. Apparently they're shooting fireworks outside. So let's find out what actually has been said. So for Strung Out, Paperwalls, I thought, yes, okay, I did have. Okay, so it says, a look at discontentment, discontenterment, or it doesn't look like the actual word discontentment, or discontent even, discontentment, fills your hazel eyes as I ask for the millionth time what's going on. You seem to be confused about just where you stand with me tonight, as we tear apart all that wasn't lost to another fight. So again, paper walls, like things that can be torn apart easily, and like you try to build something up, but it can't withstand these personal storms apparently. And so we turn against each other once again, talking to myself again about all the things I should have said. You run and I go hide, and I wait for you. I want to know where this is going. I still wait for you. I made a promise to myself not to let this go. And do we still have a chance to save what we haven't lost again? But now I need to see this through, to burn these paper walls of doubt, okay? And so we turn against each other once again. You run and I go hide, talking to myself again about all the things I should have said, and I wait for you, I still wait for you. My fucked up head is spinning round, and all my thoughts, or it looks like tots, all my tots, like, but thoughts without an H. I don't know, like, this might just be the idiosyncrasy of this online posting of the lyrics, or maybe that's a play on words. Either way, all my thoughts, I'll read it. Just keep me down. Here on your doorstep, I'm drunk again. Oh man, I know you're sick of all my shit. So tell me right now, where do you stand? And I know you want to end all this, and I know you're tired of all my ways. So I think maybe some of these lines are said, kind of in that colloquial, like if you've ever read Grapes of Wrath, like most of the dialogue in that, it's, spelled idiosyncratically to indicate the dialect being used. So I think maybe that's happening here to some extent. I know you're tired of this waiting game. I know you're tired of it all. Just tell me now. And do we still have a chance to save what we haven't lost inside? I want to know where this is going. All these paper walls we build, get in the way, get in the way. And all the ashes that have spilled. I did hear that ashes line, and I was wondering what that was about. And all these ashes, or all the ashes that have spilled, and so we turn against each other once again. You run and I go hide, talking to myself about all the things I should have said. I still wait for you, and I wait for you. So yeah, the complicated relationship, it sounds like, to say the very least, and a volatile one that seems to vacillate between more tolerable periods and more periods of fallout and chaotic behavior from the narrator, which he freely concedes this other person is probably sick of, but for whatever reason, he keeps trying to come back, and maybe they're not entirely disinclined to prolonging the connection, even though it does talk about, you run and I try to hide, and maybe that's, hide and like you made a huge mistake, and so you don't want to face it, and so you sort of avoid the situation. So yeah, it sounds a bit more interpersonal than I was thinking, but it's still, there were a couple of things about, like, you know, you build up, but then like it doesn't stick, it doesn't stay. It's like easy to fall apart. But then we're saying like these doubts are the paper walls, and like I have to tear through them, and I have to, like, you know, burn them down in order to find out the truth. But then it's, by the end, it's like, again, you know, we hear that there are times where he's like drunk outside her place, like, hey, you know, I'm still here, and he's still waiting, and he's still waiting, which maybe implies that this other person is not coming back, or is not going to prolong it any longer. Like, this might have been the final cutoff. So I think there's some ambiguity. I think, as I thought about the phrase in advance, and, you know, given the little bit that I heard, I thought it might be more general, that like, oh, in our lives, like, you know, we sort of go back to these moments and we wish we would have played them differently, and so on. But it seemed to be much more direct, you know, this person and another person, and the idiosyncrasies, the eccentricities of their interactions. So I look forward to hearing from Paulie on this one. I look forward to hearing from all the people who've been following the different punk rock reactions, including the Strung Out reactions. So as I said, we're like a little bit less than halfway through, and once more, there are two bonus tunes on this version of the album, which I've never heard, because definitely the version I had back in the day ended with Matchbook, because again, I'm a big fan of that tune, and that is one of the two that I listen to a lot. But the next time we come back will be Ice Burn, and, you know, nothing worse than a frozen type of burn, which I imagine could play into all sorts of different figurative renderings or metaphorical usages. So I guess we'll find out when we get there. Once again, shout out to Paulie. Let me know what you think. I will see you next time.